Alright, welcome back, students. Today we're going to learn masking. Masking is an awesome way to tweak your photos without destroying the pixels, also known as non-destructive editing, and it gives you a lot of power to tweak things back and forth to really get what you want to happen. So let's start with this image right here, and let's say we want to add some texture over it to make maybe the wood and leaves have some texture. So the first thing we're going to do is we open this one in Photoshop, which we've already done. And now we're going to go down here to the Finder. And we're going to type in texture. And we're going to find our texture folder. And let's pick this bark here. That looks pretty good. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I like that one. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to pick it up and we're going to drag it into PS, which is Photoshop. And now we have this bark open. You can see we have the picture of me on the wall and we have this bark open. So now what we want to do is get the move tool. It's the first tool. Also the shortcut is V, and we're going to pick it up and we're going to drag it over here and hold on to it until we get over here and let go, and that'll paste it right onto our photo. And you can see now it's in what we call the transform. That's what these boxes are. Transform is Command T, that's the shortcut. So if you see it without Command T, like let's say you see it like that, without the little boxes, that means it's not ready to transform. If you see it with the boxes, then it is. And I want to rotate it, so I come up to the corner until I turn into this little arrow, this little elbow, and now we can turn it so that it fits our orientation, and we'll start to stretch that guy out. If you hold down shift, it won't distort your transforming, which is really important, unless you want it to distort. And we're going to fill it like that, and that looks pretty good. Alright, now we want to come over here and we want to back the opacity off, which is over here, so we can kind of see the parts that we want to mask out. Alright, so we want texture on everything except for me. We don't want texture on my skin. So we're going to come over to this little rectangle with the circle in it. It says add layer mask, and we're going to click on that. Whoop. And you can see now this is our mask. And basically what this is this is like a piece of tracing paper over it. And we can now paint out the stuff that we want using the paintbrush. So when you're masking, the most important thing you want to do is get the paintbrush. You can use the gradient tool, but we'll talk about that later. So we want the paintbrush, the shortcut is B. You want to make sure that these are set to white and black. If they're on a different color, let's say it was red or something else, you can click on that little square right there and that will give you white and black. And this little elbow will change those to black as the foreground or white as the foreground. Alright, the other thing you want to make sure is that this mode up here is normal, and then your opacity and flow will determine how fast and how much comes off at a time when you're painting. Alright, so white reveals, black conceals. So if we paint black, anything we paint black on is going to conceal, well, the texture that we've put over the top of the background, which is me on the wall. So you can see here, if we went 100% and I started painting black, anywhere I paint black is going to mask out whatever I paint on. Alright, now that's not very good, but the nice thing about masking is if you messed up and you don't like it, you can come over here and you can hit this elbow and paint back with white what you want the texture to go back to. So now we could kind of paint the texture back on like so, and we're just painting white back, and you can see over here wherever it's black, that's concealing the texture over the photo, and wherever it's white, that is revealing all of the texture that we put on top. So let's keep painting here. Alright, and we're just going to make it sloppy for now. Alright, so paint all that back. That's looking pretty good. Alright. Okay. And you can zoom in. And you kind of see I'm missing the hat. So the shortcut to change this from white to black is X. Alright. It's the same as this elbow right here. And now we're going to paint black on the hat a little bit so that texture doesn't hit my hat and my face. And then we're going to hit X again and paint back white over here where we do want it. And again, take your time. And the nice thing with masking is you can go back and forth. So if you accidentally go like that, you just paint black right over it and it disappears without destroying your pixels, which is a huge advantage. Alright, so we'll get white back again. Start painting that back. Like so. If you hold the space bar, that will allow you to pick it up and move the photo up a little bit when you're zoomed in. So we'll paint all that texture back like so. And it doesn't need to be perfect because we're going to blend in the bark anyways. But like this hand is no good, so let's paint that back out with black. So I hit X again. The brackets will make your brush a little bit smaller. Like so. And we're just going to paint that back in until it looks normal. Alright, maybe we want to put some black, some texture in here, so we'll paint that with white to reveal the texture. Like that. And this needs some help down here. Paint all that. So over these bigger areas I'll get a bigger brush to be more efficient. Alright, it's all about efficiency. A little area here, make my brush smaller. Bring back my shoe. We don't need texture on my shoe. Something like that. Alright, so let's zoom out and see. Alright, so there I am. And now you can back off the opacity and it'll start to add some texture to your wall there. Alright, so that's kind of weird on the sidewalk, so maybe we don't want it on the sidewalk. The other thing is you can use these blending modes, and we'll get more into those. But there's lots of blending modes here, and you can kind of pick some of these. I like to use soft light, and that will help blend it in. I'll use the opacity to come back up. Alright, and let's say you didn't want it on the sidewalk. Well, we simply paint black on the sidewalk, and that texture disappears anywhere we don't want it. So let's say we don't want it on this wall, we just want it on the wood in the background. Alright, something like that. And now we have a kind of a rock texture. Maybe bring the opacity down a little bit more, and it just adds a little bit of texture. If you hit the eyeball on and off, you can see there's some texture to it. And maybe you like it a little bit more crazy. Yeah. Overlay is pretty good. You know, something like that. And you can continue to mask out the stuff that you don't want texture on. And you can use this with any kind of change that you put on top of a layer. So if you wanted to make it darker in places, you could do the same thing. So let's say we like that. Now let's add an adjustment layer. Let's say we wanted to make the background darker, like so, but we don't want the subject to be darker as well. Well, we come over here, we add a mask again. Now we're working on the adjustment layer. Here's our mask, and anywhere we paint black, it's going to take the exposure back to where it was and conceal that adjustment that we just made, so that we get our subject to look a little, maybe this is a little dark over in here, maybe we don't want that. So this is a good way to blend your exposures as well. If you have areas that need a little bit of dodging and burning, You can just make it like that, and so now you can see we darken in the background a little bit. If we come back to layer 1, which is our texture, we can back that off so it blends a little bit better. Something like that. So we started with that, added our texture, made an adjustment, and again we masked out anything that we didn't want, so it starts to look really cool. Come back here, maybe we want that to be a little bit brighter in there. I think we have a weird brush here. Okay, maybe we don't like that, we paint it back in. So masking is a really powerful tool, and once you're done, then you want to flatten your layers. Come up here to layer, flatten. Now you have one layer and you can save that as your final product. And that's masking. Thanks for watching.